Hello, this is Tim Law with Planet Forward Coaching and Self-Reliant You. Always remember your life, your dreams, your goals, and your career are all essential. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. A big thank you to over 350 people that have subscribed to this channel, Planet Forward Coaching. If you haven't already, please do so. It'd be great to have you involved with us. Thank you. Really looking forward to this interview this evening with a good friend of mine, Coach Dan Schaeberle, who's done an outstanding job at the Northeastern High School with the swim team over the years. He's had state champions and just does a phenomenal job overall. And so, Coach, take it away. Tell us your story a little bit, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you for having me on. Been looking forward to doing this. So I'm going to start off by telling you that my birthday is a July birthday, and the reason I say that is because as a July birthday, my parents decided to send me to school send me to kindergarten as a new 5-year-old. And the reason I say that, I'll get into why that is kind of important. But I really struggled in kindergarten. I was just kind of immature. My parents didn't know any better. I'm the oldest of three. And I really struggled in kindergarten. I went to first grade, and I can still picture myself doing or think back to when I was doing math problems and how much I struggled with it. And thankfully, my parents decided, along with my first grade teacher, to hold me back and have me repeat first grade. And that was probably one of the best things that they ever did for me, because first of all, it made me the oldest kid in the class the next year, rather than being, one of the youngest. And I think that really helped a lot, especially with schooling and everything. And it was probably that fall, my dad took me to my first college football game. It was a Maryland-Penn State game, and I know this is not going to be popular, especially in York County, but I was definitely not cheering for Penn State. That instilled my hatred for Penn State, actually. My dad is a University of Maryland graduate, and but honestly, that is from that point on, I would say it's an understatement to say that that started my obsession with sports. And I know I'm the swim coach. It wasn't just with swimming. It was with everything. Like, I couldn't get enough sports, including, gym class and going out to recess. I played football, baseball, basketball, soccer. I swam, ran track. I also started swimming that same year. So that definitely started my obsession with sports that by going to that football game. And like I said, I couldn't get enough of it. I started swimming that same year too. It was the summer that I turned 8, is when I started swimming, and it came pretty naturally to me. I mean, my dad was a swimmer. He was a Division I swimmer. He was one of the top swimmers in the country as a high schooler. He won Pennsylvania State championships. He went to William Penn High School, and is either in York County, either swam or he said you did weightlifting. So he was a swimmer, and my grandfather was a swimmer, so it's in the blood. So anyway, swimming kind of came naturally to me, like pretty much right from the start. But I started getting involved in other sports as well. I think I took a season or two off of swimming. And I played football for West York Boys Club. I played basketball for West York Boys Club, baseball. Like I said, I played soccer for York Youth Soccer League, and I did everything. I mean, my parents had me running around all over the place. My sisters were swimming, and I think that I would say in 8th grade, my dad, kind of like on a whim, said, "Hey, we're going to go to Buffalo. United States USA Swimming and YMCA Swimming are doing kind of like a joint championship thing." And he's like, I don't know. Who knows how we're going to swim? We're just going to go up to Buffalo. We'll go to Niagara Falls and all that stuff with the team. And I had the swim meet of my life. And I would say that was kind of when I got, quote unquote, good at swimming. I was okay leading up to that, I think. That was kind of like an awakening, I think, there. I stopped everything else. I ran track in 7th and 8th grade. I stopped playing soccer in 7th grade so I wouldn't get hurt for track. And that was kind of when it just kind of like my eyes were open to swimming. And at that time, I was in West York School District, and West York did not have a high school swim team at that time. So my parents decided, we need to do something rather than just swimming for the why. So we decided, and I was a big part of the decision as well, was for me to actually go to Dallastown. And we did not move to Dallastown. My sisters actually went to West York. My dad started the swim team in West York when I was in 10th grade, but they paid tuition for me to actually go to Dallastown. And that is like something I could never, ever repay for them, to them, because just like that was kind of like my first impression with my coach, Rich Halley, not my first impression. That was my first way to like model my coaching philosophy, because that was another, besides my club coaches, and my dad was one of my club coaches. He had his own philosophy as well as Bill Schmidt, who was one of my coaches at the Y as well. They had their own philosophy, and then Rich Halley had something different. And I think that's one of the things that I've really learned over the years, was just kind of take everything from different coaches that I've had and shape my own philosophy when it comes to swimming and actually coaching. So I swam for 4 years. This may lead to a later question, but I really did not do well in school. I struggled with school, and not because I'm stupid, but just because I didn't really care. Swimming was why I was in school. That was why I went to school. I was never ineligible, but I'll tell you what, I was definitely right on that line of being ineligible for swimming. And as I look back now, that's what absolutely one of my biggest regrets is not trying harder. Like, would I be somewhere different now? No, I wouldn't, because I love Westchester. I love my job now. I can't see myself doing anything else. I couldn't see myself going anywhere else other than Westchester. But the stress that I put first on myself, and then on my parents, that's the one thing I really regret. I mean, I had to get tutor and all that kind of stuff, but there was never any doubt that I was going to go to college. Like, there just never was. I never skipped school, because that would make schooling even harder with all the catch-up work. But there was never any doubt that I was going to go to college. My mom did not go to college. My dad did. He's a veterinarian, so he went to undergrad at University of Maryland, like I said, and he went to the University of Pennsylvania and has started his own business and all that kind of stuff. So there was never any doubt that I was going to go to college. I just didn't like school, and I took that first year of college and treated it like I had been doing with high school, and I did terrible my first semester. Not like terrible, but it wasn't good. And after that, I was like, I got to change stuff. So like, something has to change here. So I did much better after that. And that has also helped with my coaching philosophy of self-discipline and everything. And I've kind of been able to carry that into my coaching with everything. So, and how I really got started at Northeastern was my dad knew the athletic director. It wasn't Brian Stevens. It was Arnie Fritchu, who was at Red Lion. My dad knew him, and they needed a swim coach. So I actually interviewed at 22. I wasn't even done high school. I was interviewed at 22 years old for the swim coaching position at Northeastern. And I thought to myself, I'm going to give it a year. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll go find a teaching position or whatever. And thankfully I stayed along, because that's where I met my wife and everything. And here I am. I can't believe 18 years later, here I am, and all the orange and black that I have in my closet, clothing wise, is incredible. I never expected to have that much, especially because York Suburban was our biggest rival at Dallastown. I thought I would never wear orange and black, and that's my whole wardrobe's orange and black now. So anyway, that's kind of short story, I guess, of how I kind of got involved with everything. So
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Coach, because when you said about the not liking school or whatever, what's I've always found that I've always admired about swimmers is the discipline. Whether it's getting up real early to double workouts or whatever, there is a lot of discipline, because you're repeating some of the same things, the yardage and everything like that that's required. So certainly swimming had to create a great deal of self-discipline, being at your practices on time, being a team player and that type of thing. So you said Coach Halley, and I know he's got a great reputation, obviously your dad as well. Other role models, Coach, that you had, coming up through?
I would say, I remember one time I had to do a role model thing in 8th grade, a speech, and my mom said, I bet nobody said their mom. And she was right, they didn't. But like, I have to say my mom, my dad was busy. He I don't want to say he was never home because he was, but he was getting a business started with the Shiloh Veterinary Hospital. And my mom was like, I mean, I remember how angry she would get taken because my sisters aren't that much younger than me. They're, it's three of us within about 3.5 years. So we're all pretty close in age, relatively speaking, and how angry she would get at the grocery store because we were being bad. And so I would say definitely my mom, everything. I mean, but my biggest role model is also as well is my dad. Like all the hard work that he has put in. He's just, I don't know. He's a person that can't sit still, and just like what I've seen with what he's done with his business. It's the largest veterinary business in York County, and it's amazing. Like he got to a point when he opened up his second office here in Emmetsville that he wasn't sleeping at night, and he was losing hair like in like patches on his head, and he thought it was one of like a medicine that he was taking, and it was just from stress and the amount of work and everything that he's put into that, and then at the same time my mom as well with raising my sisters and I. Definitely the two of them. But I mean, I've had many coaches, and like I said, I've been able to, because of coaches, my dad, I had two swim club coaches, Scott Zicarda and Bill Schmidt, my college coach, Jamie Rudisil, Rich Halley, and I've been able to take what they've done or what I've seen from them, and like I said, kind of shape my own coaching philosophy with stuff.
Sure,
So,
sure.
yeah.
Well, what is share some of that philosophy, Coach, as far as what you're looking for as far as your individuals. And the good point you brought up, and it's something that I try to do in coaching. I look for those kids that have high energy, and I'm sure you've done some of the same things because sports and athletics is tough enough. I'll give an example of people that they know, Antonio Rizzuto and Fred Mulva. Those guys are like high energy. I know those kids since middle school, and I always look to try to get a high energy kid. The energy it takes to be a good quality swimmer. Your thoughts on that and some of your coaching philosophies, please share those.
I'm like, I don't know. I know a lot of my swimmers from the time that they're like 7, 8, or 8 years old, because they're part of our swim club and they kind of come up through the swim club. I mean, that's part of the whole process with it. I don't know. I don't have like a ton of like high energy kids. A lot of them, like there's like a lot of them are really laid back, hard workers. And I think the best thing about them is how hard they work in school as well, because my whole philosophy is self-discipline breeds excellence. That's actually in the York YMCA's downtown natatorium pool. It's up on the old scoreboard, self-discipline breeds excellence. And I give an award out every year. And it's not the best swimmer by any means, but it's the kid that works works as hard as he or she can in the classroom and in the pool, because they're going to take that hard work from the classroom or from the pool and hopefully translate it to the classroom, which is then going to translate into college, hopefully, and their job. And not only that, also their marriage and being a parent as well. So that's kind of what like I look for, those hardworking kids. I mean, it blows my mind when I do every year, the National Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association gives out Scholar Team Awards and I have to look up all the kids' GPAs, and it just blows my mind. I think like Niki Price won states in 2013 and 2014. But the thing I was the most proud about was that she was the valedictorian of her class in 2014.
She was amazing. She was amazing.
Yeah. And all the academic All-Americans that I've had. I mean, it's not easy to be an academic All-American for swimming and diving. You have to have a 3.75 grade point average. And there's some kids that are just so close to it, but they're just not quite there. I mean, 3.75 that's a pretty darn good grade point average.
Sure.
So, and I just all the academic All-Americans that I've had over the years, I'm extremely proud of that kind of stuff.
So, I know those kids I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I know those kids they're gonna do well after swimming, because obviously swimming is not really pro swimmers. I mean, there isn't. But most of them are not going to go to college and swim, and that's okay. But I want them to succeed in college or even if they don't go to college, just in a job.
Yeah. Well, and a point that I made with some of the other people I'm interviewing, as far as whether it's sports, band, music, extracurricular activities, people that have pushed themselves physically, as you have to in swimming or the sports I've been involved with, wrestling, or the guys and girls tennis, people that have pushed themselves, it's like you having a good coach is like forcing your quit point out even further. And if you can get your quit point out beyond that of your competition, everything else being equal, you're probably going to come out on top in that type of one-on-one situation or a race or whatever.
Right.
Just because everybody, regardless of what sport you're in, you get that that burning, that tired feeling or whatever, but that's that person that can push out through that's going to be successful. And certainly that is very, very true with swimming, where you're on that relay, you're the anchor or whatever leg you're on. You're going to have to really suck it up and go. There's no question about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and my whole thing is that hopefully that translates then throughout the rest of life. I mean, life's all about competition. I think you would agree with that. I mean,
Sure.
There are winners and losers, and I think sports. Yeah, I think that's what I think brings out the best in people with sport in terms of sports.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and one of my biggest philosophies with any of my kids are the life lessons that sport teaches. It really cracks me up when I go to some of these younger kids' games or competitions, and some of the parents are acting ridiculous. It's like, hey, if your kid makes the Olympics or the major leagues in some sport, awesome. If they've got the talent and the drive and they're good enough to do that. But I remind people, 1 out of 8,000 kids is going to make Major League Baseball. The odds in NBA are even high, longer,
right.
probably as well as NFL, because of the size, hockey, etc. So the thing is that, to me, one of the best ways to let your kids relax a little bit is, hey, learn the life lesson. You get knocked down, you got to get back up. And, just that, to me, takes enormous stress off the kid versus the idea. And yourself, with swimming, man, it's all about the times. You've either got the times or you don't have the times.
Yeah.
The girl that was out there a couple of years ago made the Olympic team. She was a West York girl. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so just the idea that the life lessons are invaluable, taking you forward, as far as the rest of your life is concerned. I really think that those are critical.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen, it's rare that there is just somebody that is just naturally talented in the water. I mean, I've seen it, obviously. I've seen a handful of kids. But the majority of swimmers are not just like natural swimmers, and 99% of us have to work really hard to get where we want to get to and reach our goals. And it's the same thing in life. You have to work really hard in school to graduate high school. You have to work really hard in college to graduate college, and you have to work really hard in life as well CEO jobs aren't just handed to people. You have to work really hard to get to this position. I mean, I gave that example of my dad, how hard he busted his butt to make his veterinary office, his veterinary office to what it was. It wasn't just handed to him or anything like that. So, and he learned that from swimming and sports, and I feel like I've learned a lot of that too. It took me a little bit later, I think, than he did, in terms of schooling and everything. So,
you had mentioned about your birthday being in July. When is it?
July 14th.
Okay. I have a July birthday too. So I just, every now and then I find somebody that has the same. I have the same as Coach Brown over at school, the 23rd. So when you said July, it was something I was going to ask you about. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I don't even look forward to my birthday, because then it's like the summer is like halfway over and everything. I love summer. Summer's my favorite time of year. So
totally agree. We'd have to certainly would be remiss not to mention a wonderful co-teacher that you work with, Miss K. Hope there. What can you say about her?
I mean, we've actually been together since, let me think. I actually long-term subbed for the guy that was at Northeastern before me. I long-term subbed with her. When was that? The spring semester of 2005. So we've technically been together since then. And I did a year, let me think. I did a year at Mount Wolf of
Mhm.
teaching phys ed to kindergarten and pre-first, which was quite an experience. That was with Dr. Payne was actually the principal then at Mount Wolf.
Uh-huh.
And it was tough leaving there because I enjoyed teaching elementary. But then I went up to the middle school after that and had a rough first year at the middle school. And then after that, Hope and I have been teaching since then, and we work so well together.
Mhm.
It's very natural. I don't know if she likes me telling people this, but she actually coached my wife when my wife was in high school and
Mhm.
had her in class and everything. But we work so well together. I mean, we see each other more than we probably see that she sees her husband and I see my wife. And it's just so natural
Mhm.
with each other. Like we finish each other's sentences or we finish each other's thoughts. And we're so like, I don't want to say not obsessive, but like just everything is, we just expect that our students do this and that each day, and
Mhm.
the kids get into that. It takes them a couple days to get into it, and that's how that I don't know. That's just how we are, and I think that's why we work so well together
Yeah,
uh, with our classes, and why we, why stuff has gone as well as it has over the
sure.
last however many years we've been together.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's what's interesting is on the rare occasions that I'm able to come in, for you. I absolutely, love, working with Hope and everything.
yeah,
She's just incredible. And the truth be told, there is realistically no potentially higher risk area in the school
mm,
than around that pool. So
right,
the idea that you guys got to keep things, very regimented and everything like that, you got to keep the eyeballs in the water, etc.
yeah.
And you two do a phenomenal job. There's no question about that. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you. I honestly, I said it a while ago. I can't imagine doing anything else. And I think she would agree when we say we're extremely lucky with what we do, because I don't know of a lot of other school districts that have what we have
mhm,
in terms of being able to do what we do with, snorkeling, and kids get their boating license, and
mhm.
being able to certify kids as lifeguards as well. So I love my job. I truly do. I wouldn't say, oh, I wake up every day, I can't wait to go to work, because that wouldn't really be true. But I do like it. I can't imagine doing anything else. And I think we're very lucky to work for the people that we work for, Mr. Gay and Dr. Seidel
Mhm.
and Dr. Payne and everything too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Edmund is extremely supportive there at
yeah,
Northeastern, and I always quote Coach Brian Stevens. He says Northeastern is a special place. I've coached and taught in 3 different states, and there's some good schools that I was at, really enjoyed them. But I'll tell you, Northeastern, it's like a family. It's just fantastic. It really is. What advice would kind of start to wrap things up here a little bit? What advice would you give to some of the young and up and comer student athletes, whether they're swimmers or not swimmers, things that you think would be helpful for them to, think about or know based on your perspective?
I, just I don't know, work hard in school. I don't know. I know that sounds like really simple and kind of a boring answer, but I just work hard in school, because I think, and like I said to you, my experience was, because I just put so much extra stress on myself and
Mhm.
my extra stress on my parents, and I hope, like I have said, my hope for them is that by working hard in school and in sports, and also I would say get involved in as much stuff as you can.
Mhm.
I know when I was doing senior interviews, I had 2 of my swimmers, Ben and Alex Clifton, were I was part of their interview, and all the stuff that they are involved in is incredible. And I've noticed that kids do so much better in school when they're just involved in
Mhm.
stuff, whether that's sports, the musical, bands, I don't know, like clubs, anything. You do so much better. I mean, I would love to see a study. I guarantee those kids are the top kids. Like when you hear Mr. Gay talk about the valedictorian and salutatorian, and the kids when he does, the top kids in the classes, and all the things that they're involved in.
Mhm.
There's definitely a correlation there between everything you're involved in and doing well in school. So get involved. That's my biggest thing. Like I was only involved in swimming, and I wish I would have been involved a little bit more. But I mean, swimming was kind of my life. I swam 10 out of 12 months a year,
Mhm.
and I would definitely not change that. That's definitely something I would not change. But get involved in as much stuff as you possibly can, whether that is you know, I don't know, just get involved. That's my biggest bit of advice.
Great points. And, it gets you, again, it forces yourself to, push yourself physically, which again converts over to, mentally tougher, emotionally tougher. And I think it all starts with, that physical, get yourself fit, get yourself in shape.
Yeah.
And you got a lot more capacity to do more, on a daily basis, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I'm definitely much more like disciplined now as I've gotten a little bit older. Like I get up at almost same time every morning and I work out, and it's such a disciplined day.
Mhm.
And it makes me feel better. Yesterday I slept in a little bit longer, and then I just felt kind of like off than like the rest of
Mhm.
the day. I didn't work out until I got home and everything. So yeah, I'm
Sure.
definitely a little bit more disciplined now for
Yeah,
sure.
well, I can certainly see that, Coach. Well, this has been fantastic. I appreciate it
Yep.
very much. If you could hang on for just a minute when we get finished here, once I stop the recording, we'll chat for a minute or two. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach. Do appreciate it. It was fantastic.